Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very frozen edition of Impact Implosion here on the Angry Marks Podcast Network, Angry Marks Radio Network, and also on YouTube. I am Cyndi Seidelman. Yeah, it got quite cold up in Tacoma, Washington today, and as you probably heard on the news, we were experiencing quite the Arctic chill. So we had quite a few inches of snow, something that we haven't had in a long time. And by a long time, I mean ever. So, with that being said, I'm here to talk about what happened on the past week's Impact, along with some other news. First thing I want to get started on is we actually got some numbers from the Impact Wrestling debut on Pursuit. Um, 15,000 was the rounded number on the Pursuit channel. I don't know if that meant, because that's like a tenth of what Impact got on the last couple of weeks when they were on Pop. They have to have had turned more money on ad revenue or rights fees or something like that by moving it to Pursuit. Otherwise, I have no idea what they did. And Pop was very open in saying they were welcome to stay until they found a better home. Um, right now, even though the product is watchable, this seems to me like a very bad. It's going to be a very bad move for American TV. And judging by the numbers on Twitch, whereas the past few weeks have not been doing too well, and they've only gotten like around 7,500. So you take that into, that's only about 20,000 viewers for Impact, and that is a big fall from grace from like the 1.1s, the 1.2s that they were pulling, the past decade or so on Spike. So this is bad. This is really bad. It's right now. It seems like Impact is just living on rights fees from international markets. The number that they're getting from India is like 10 million a year for 6 years, so 60 million total. They just signed a new deal in Mexico, and there's also the UK market. I'm sure there's other foreign markets as well. It just seems like they don't care about the US market, so they're just focusing more on international markets, and that's where they're getting their money. So, hey, if that's what it takes in order to stay solvent and still provide wrestlers and entertainers with a place to work, then I'm all for it. We'll have more news involving certain Impact talent down the road, but well, actually in this episode. But let's get started with the first match of the night, which is Rich Swan versus Willie Mack. Rich Swan and Willie Mack versus OVE. I gotta be honest. Watching the show, usually I'm able to have a page front and back, and sometimes an additional page with notes. I barely got the page. Barely got the first side of the page. I'll be honest, this was not a good episode of Impact for the first hour or so. When they got to the big title match at the end, that's when stuff really started to pick up. Um, Basically, Rich Swan, Willie Mack versus OVE, it was just standard. I mean, it was nothing really exciting. It was pretty much what you expect from a Rich Swan match and OVE match. You get a bunch of high spots, and that's about it. Tag team stunners and cutters by Swan and Mack. And I see the spike tombstone that OVE did to Rich Swan only gets a 2, and that's usually a match finisher. OVE uses logic and old school ring psychology, and it almost worked. But, as is the case, Swan pins Jake for 450 off the second rope. Basically, it's just this feud is. I thought higher of Impact when they started to get their stuff going after Slammiversary last year. But this is just taking a big step back because I can't get invested in an OVE Rich Swan feud for a few reasons. One, they have been so ingrained in being a tag team. I'm talking about the Chris. And then Sami Callihan spent the better part of 2018 feuding against Eddie Edwards, and also feuding with whoever the heck was feuding with OVE, whether it be the new Lucha Bros or even Willie Mack. So it's just something I can't get invested in this feud, even if it might be personal and might be tugging at the heartstrings. I just can't get invested in it. It also doesn't help when during commentary it was noted that Sammy Callahan wants the announcers to refer to Jake Christ as the white trash Bruce Lee. Thankfully, Don countered with the Trailer Park Jackie Chan, which actually sounds a lot better. And it pretty much goes with the reckless style OVE runs. Uh, then afterwards, we get the announcement that the Uncaged main event for next week is a four-way with Killer Cross and Moose being added to the mix. Yay, I guess. So once again, Brian Cage gets screwed out of his singles match. Hey, like Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey when Charlotte was added to the WrestleMania main event. Yay! Ugh, hate that. Some fluff piece aired when Impact announced that they were teaming up with the NFL Alumni Vegas chapter, and Killer Cross partook in some of the charity events, including golf. If you're a wrestling company, you kind of want your heels to be booed. So why not put a face out there? I mean, you have Rich Swan and Willie Mack in your stable. You know, in your stable of wrestlers, you got the Rascals, Pentagon, Ray Phoenix. Heck, Brian Cage would have been perfect. But Cross? I don't know. This episode has kind of really soured me. Then we get Dark Alley, who's with Su Yung, versus Kira Hogan, who has Jordan Grace. Oh, by the way, big news when it comes to fans of Jordan Grace. She has teased on Twitter recently that we are actually getting DMs of a female indie wrestler 3, which is, I really like the first two. And I hope the third one is just as good, if not better. So, I am big on this, and I honestly do hope that it does well for her. Yeah, this match. It's just like the rest of the matches on the show, except for the main event. So I'll just blow through the card quickly. A lot of botch spots by Kieran Alley, and apparently that she is scared when Su Yung is out of the picture, or when she's touching the glove that she does the mandible claw with, because now it's ingrained into her that if she does anything without Su Yung or with that glove, Rosemary is going to appear and freak her out, kind of like Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street. This is essentially what this is. It's Nightmare on Elm Street. Ugh. Kira hits Fisher's Nightbreaker for 3. This was just a nothing match. And then, in something light, investigative reporter Rolando Menendez, or Melendez, talks to Johnny Impact in a hotel, brings up that the main event at Uncaged is now a 4-way. He is furious and says he got screwed. And then Cage says, I am quoting this from what was aired on Pursuit. He said, and I quote, "Sucks when you fucking get screwed." Yes. They did not censor the word fucking. I don't know if Steve is going to edit that out of this nice little cast. I usually try to keep it PG, but I thought that was hilarious. You know, TV PG, TV 14, you can say the F word on the Pursuit channel. Hey, as proven by the 15,000 viewers, it's like nobody's watching, so who cares? After commercial break, this week on A Nightmare in a Dark Alley, Alley mutters she's here about 15,000 times, and a mysterious message shows up saying, "The witching is upon us. Don't say we didn't warn you." Ooh. Ooh. Uh, Scott Stone, it's like you've never canceled Freddy's Nightmares. Gotta like that show. Rohit Raju versus Trey is next. This one had a really slow start, but at least the finish was really good. It was just like stiff shots by Trey and Rohit, and that other guy with Gama Singh They did most of the interference. Desuet's only got involved at the end when the big guy was basically distracting the ref, so he eliminated them. Trey wins with a knee driving dive, for a three. I don't know how to describe that finish. You jump off with your knees, you jump off, and it's like a takedown. When you have your legs bent, like you're kneeling or something like that. I honestly can't describe it. Sad news though. This is the last match that will be aired with Gama Singh and the Desi Hit Squad, as they have decided to leave Impact Wrestling. Also the same with Matt Sydow, who I believe is still injured. It's a shame too. That was a pretty vital link to India. I don't know if they're going to be bringing in another Indian wrestler or anything like that. It's kind of sad though, because I thought they were good hands, but hey, it is what it is. Next up is Sami Callihan versus Puma King. Okay, I got to be honest. I honestly don't care about Sami Callihan. I want to like the guy, but he always takes things way, way, way beyond from what they need to be. To the point where it's just gross. You remember the bat shot with Eddie Edwards, and then, because we thought it was an accident, it was reported that it was an accident. He was like, oh yeah, I did this on purpose. I'll do it to everybody. I'll reenact it on Twitch when we have that big AAA show on May. Uh, it's all just gross to me. It also doesn't help that he's added a spitting technique to his thing. It's just like all throughout Smash, just like big gobs of spit and saliva that he would belt out, and was like, ugh. This was bad. And it stinks because I think Puma King is good, but this was too long, overly drawn out. Callahan wins as a pile driver. I just couldn't give a crap whatsoever. Then we get a Cross Moose promo. Cross finds it funny that it's now a four-way. Moose mentions the Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick because they won the Super Bowl. And he says that there's no I in team. And then Killer Cross mentions the Frog and the Scorpion. I guess that's setting the seed for that he's going to be a lone wolf when it comes to the four-way. That if Moose is able to be pinned, Cross will definitely pin Moose for the three if that happens. Oh, and just like every other Moose promo, Moose tells Melissa Santos to call him. If the old call me, say, no, call me. Moose, she is not calling. Then we get the big match of the night, which is the Impact Tactile match, LAX versus Lucha Bros. This had the big match feel, and I kind of wish this would have closed out the entire Mexico tour and not the big cage match with Johnny Impact, Cage, Cross, and Moose. Some grand entrances were made. Lucha Bros made a grand entrance with Dragon Dancers and that drummer that introduced Sting at WrestleMania 32. Because when I think of Sting, I think of Japan drummers and all that good stuff. LAX is kind of like a scene thing. They're searching for LAX and all that good stuff. And it was just super fast. There was no wasted movements. It was just good, solid action. Everything that they did had a purpose. The story was built up really well. Ortiz, was mouthing off, and he was barely in the match because they nullified him quick. They isolated Santana, and here's what I've got written down, that it took 3 pile drivers, multiple headshots, everything that the Lucha Bros threw at him until it was enough to put him down for the 3, and the Lucha Bros are your Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. seek out the match. It is fantastic. The rest of the card, meh. So basically, what this sets up for is Uncaged. We don't know how Conan and LAX are going to bounce back. We'll probably won't find out until the tapings in Las Vegas, which happens Friday the 15th, Saturday the 16th, and Sunday the 17th of February. So if you're in the area, do check them out and support Impact Wrestling Live. They always do put on a. I always think they try to put on a good product, but it didn't show tonight. I honestly didn't like Impact tonight, save for the main event, which is a shame. So next week is Uncaged. Big matches are the big AAA versus Impact 8-man tag team match, which is Aerostar, Puma King, Vikingo, and Psycho Clown versus Sammy Callahan, Falaba, Eddie Edwards, and Eli Drake. Oh, wait, I forgot. Eli and Eddie Edwards had a promo, and I just couldn't care. Anyway, also for Uncaged is that four-way cage match for the Impact World Championship. Cross, Moose, Brian Cage, and Johnny Impact. And then the big one, the one that I'm kind of looking forward to, is the Knockouts title match in a street fight with Taya Valkyrie and Tessa Blanchard. I'm sure that is going to rock the building. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for this edition of Impact Implosion. I am Cyndi Seidelman, and let's hope Uncaged is better than this week's show. Sorry I was quite down on it, but hey, gotta have it dead every now and then. Till next time.